Live.
Here we go. Let's do the intro.
Well, welcome to just a couple of seconds late. Welcome to the latest edition of the Friday Nooner. It's Friday noon plus 45 seconds.
Close enough.
I'm Pete McIntyre, managing editor of GrepBeat. With me, as always, or almost always, the Godfather, Joe Colopy.
Hello.
So I was scrambling today. Full disclosure, we've hired some new interns from UNC. Two of them, we're gonna bring our social media channels to the next level, or really to a level.
We were here. Here's the ground.
We might have been here.
We're here.
Right.
See, everything on my camera is reversed, and then we need to go here. Is that what you spoke to them about?
Yeah,
we're gonna do this.
Did. Yeah, and so we're doing Startups 101. And sadly, I erased some of the great stuff I had on the board. And
the secrets. Okay.
With me.
There we go.
So I was literally running so much. I was standing at my desk. I was trying to put this shirt on because I put my GrepBeat shirt on, and you might see it actually still has the tag.
Nice.
And then I forgot my headphones. I had to run out, and that's when we're about 15 seconds.
So that was about the part where I said, "Hey Pete, we're gonna be on in like 30 seconds."
Yeah, and I was like, "No, we have like 2 minutes." Like, no, like 1 minute. And then I walked, and it was really more like, So let's just put that behind us.
Let's behind time,
and we got to move. We got to look forward. Someone actually did have a question: do the interns get light? Well, of course. There are no light blue GrepBeat shirts. This is a holdover from Robbie Allen when he guest hosted. He wanted some Carolina blue GrepBeat shirt. He said this on Twitter, actually.
Well, we have a lot of Carolina students, right? As our
they're all
writers
Carolina
and helpers. They are. You're right. And so we probably should do that. I'm just going to digress here. When it comes to branding, I actually think it's neat to have like a go-to color and the form factor, and then actually kind of mix it up a little bit. So at Bronto, we clearly had green, and then we mixed it up. Kind of like if you think of the MTV logo from back in the day, you'd have the same design, but the texture on top would be completely different depending on the mood.
Okay. Now, since I put everything in sports metaphors,
of course,
they'd be called alternate unis. And so sometimes you wear different kinds of unis, and that's really so you can sell more merchandise in that colors, those different colors. And so that's why I told Robbie, like, we'll make Carolina blue GrepBeat shirts once UNC wears their GrepBeat red alternate unis.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't wait for that.
I don't think that's going to happen. But a pro team would certainly wear, then they're like that black jerseys, and it's just to sell more gear.
Anything's possible in the future. We will see, but that's a great comment.
I did give them
Mr. Jim
I gave
Roberts.
them a pint glass, a coffee mug, GrepBeat mug, and a GrepBeat shirt. So they're all
startup tip. Giving out branded pint glasses was one of the most successful and fairly affordable swag things that we did at Bronto. So
we have not been super systematic about giving out the pint glass, in part because real life events kind of closed much after that, and the Where's Pete is more of a mug thing. We've kicked around.
We'll see. We are at the beginning stages of world domination of GrepBeat, and so we're going to go from there, and maybe we're stepping up the pint glasses and distributing them. So,
but we do have a near neighbor who did some world domination-ish today. Process Maker.
Yes, so let's shout out for Brian Reel, Process Maker, local Durham-based software company that actually has a lot of very interesting South American roots, where he spent a number of years doing that. It is, yeah, I mean, it is kind
It's
of
like workflow, word process.
on-prem, yeah, on-prem
Forms.
workflow mainly. I think they do a little bit of that, working with a lot of international companies who are doing big things. They need to manage their workflow, and so that's really exciting for them. I believe they've never raised money
They have
or
not,
no
yeah.
significant money, and so yeah.
This
And so
was
it's
a $45 million raise.
yeah, so that's probably a majority buy, I would
Yes.
imagine, from private
According to the
equity.
Wall Street Journal. I read this in the Wall Street Journal
Yeah.
this morning.
No, so it's exciting. I think it's another exciting win for certainly for Brian, but also for Triangle Tech. And it's also a good example of a software company, and I think we need to think more about this, that wasn't born here, but that grew here. And so we often get fixated on companies that it's like, I have an idea, and they start off in Durham. But often the real game is, hey, let's get people who have small businesses, entrepreneurs, and just find Durham to be a wonderful place. Because I believe he's a Duke guy.
He is.
Well, so it just speaks to how there's a lot of indirect tangible benefits to having these universities around. And this is for example, he's also a neighbor. So in the Durham Trinity Park.
Surprisingly,
our house.
The Journal did not mention that. Like you would have thought that they'd mention some of his neighbors and what neighborhood he lives in.
Oh, they did. Well, are you a subscriber?
No.
Oh, they have a whole expanded scene. Yeah, it's only for subscribers.
Well, I mean, there are subscriptions I have access to.
Yes, I've heard you've used my password.
Subscriber. Wasn't talking about you, though I do use your password as well. I think I'm using the password of a former business partner's husband. But now it's all public. They're going to be rolling that up.
Yeah, I think they're going to tighten up that. You better plan on not watching Netflix.
It was offered. It wasn't like I overlooked.
It was offered like
shoulder.
What, 5-10 years ago? Like not in recent history.
Less than 5. It still works. It works.
Yeah, hey, you can get away with it. Do it, right?
Honestly, I don't even remember which. If it comes up on that browser, like I don't remember which one they're using. It's not like they did.
Yeah, you stick with that story. I'm sure it's going to go really far for you.
Yeah, I'd use another one. But okay,
so
that's something that
is new. That's exciting today. That was this morning. We sent around that link and on our Twitter, and I know.
I won't mention it on Tuesday. I will say, Brian, earlier this week, talked to me about this, and I was like, you know what? I'll write about it whenever. You don't have to worry about giving us an exclusive. This is why I'm probably not good at this job. I was like, here I gave him some TechCrunch people to get, but then I think he got to the Journal. It's like, try to get it in someone bigger, because us local people will write about it whenever. So this is your kind of shot. But then I was like, you know what? It would be nice if it came out on a newsletter day. Friday is like the worst day for us. It's as far away as
you really need to work for it. But we get to talk about it here.
It's really kind of rude, frankly.
It is rude.
Like this whole thing that the Journal.
I mean, now that I really look at it, I was going to celebrate Brian, but now really,
I don't know. He was going to be my winner of the week, but we might have to do
I think he should be a winner of the week. Let's put it the winner of the week. I
forgot how upset I was about this element now that I'm talking about it. That it was like super inconvenient to our schedule.
I think we've celebrated and beaten down this latest transaction with Process Maker, which is cool, and we're very happy for him. So what else
did you want to talk? Well, did you want to talk about Bitcoin? You seem to want to talk about that.
Do you
want to talk about Epic Games?
I'm not really a Bitcoin. We can talk about it. It's clearly in the stratosphere.
What do you want to talk about? I've been doing Startups 101 all day. I've been very busy.
That's on you. All right, so let's see what the current price is. So B2C to I no longer have. I sold my last tenth of a Bitcoin because I thought it was so high. It must have been a month ago. It was like $27,000, and now it's at $47,000, which is crazy. But sometimes crazy things happen, right? So, and as you know,
yes,
Tesla. Happen. Well, they do until they don't, right? But hey, I mean, sometimes it can work out well for people. It just turns into a gambling exercise. But yeah, well, I mean, it's got big validation, of course, from Elon Musk and Tesla. They put in $1.5 billion of their money.
What does that have to do with building cars? I don't understand. They're just like we made a side investment.
No.
In Bitcoin.
You think Tesla's product is the cars, maybe even electrical solar powers. I'm sorry, son. You are very mistaken. The product is the stock. The cars is just the excuse.
Is Elon Musk the product?
His banter, yeah, is kind of the product. So hey man, every generation needs a showman. He clearly is very talented, but I think he's more talented at drumming up excitement. But that's part of the game. So that's the game he's playing. So hey,
and his compensation is very much tied into the stock price.
A few years ago. He bet big, and he plays big, and sometimes you win. And so I think it's going to work out for him. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go down. I mean, obviously he's very successful, but I think people equate business success with being a decent human and not having real issues. I mean, just look at look at Tony Hsieh of Zappos. I mean, the guy was writing about happiness all day long, and he obviously didn't end well for him in a very happy way. And actually, I was on we had sponsored a Toronto webinar a long time ago, and I was on with him, and he didn't seem particularly happy. But that's, people have bad days. But
he's actually very introverted. If you ever heard the How I Built This with that, they're like, no, he was like so quiet. We had to like turn the audio up.
He was very introverted, kind of very serious. I do think there's something to be said is, well, this is my opinion, obviously, that people often look for formulas, and the people who are most seeking happiness are looking for it in a fairly formulaic kind of way. And so they kind of write about all these kind of things in a kind of formulaic kind of way, when really it's more elusive, or more just have to look at it very differently. And so I don't know. I think that approach is sometimes challenged. But I digress. I think Elon, obviously very talented entrepreneur. I drive a Tesla, so I get to enjoy that. But there's a hefty element of promotion, and if he can, good for him. I mean, if he can pull it off, maybe we'll do some interesting things. But who was that guy? Who's a famous inventor person with airplanes 50 years ago or so? You know what I'm talking about? I think Leonardo da Vinci was in, or not da Vinci. Leonardo. Howard Hughes. It's kind of like a character like that.
The Spruce Goose.
Howard Hughes. Well,
that was the name of the airplane. So, yes. Yeah, but he was like a germaphobe, among other things. Yeah. It wasn't ending well for him.
Yeah. But
it was fine for Leo. Leo has done quite well for himself.
He's done very well.
Yeah.
Leonardo, the other Leo, not the one I mentioned. But in terms of like high profile CEOs, kind of tying it back to kind of locally, we were talking about ghost delivery, and we were talking about ghost kitchens. And so for those people who don't know, the idea is the main concept of ghost kitchens is like, hey, if it's all going to move the delivery anyways, why does the kitchen really need to be in a retail location at all? It could just be wherever. And that commercial kitchen can offer lots of different menus, and it's going to be delivered by delivery folks. So let's just keep those costs really low. And so actually a few years ago, so everyone remembers Travis, I forget his last name, who's founder CEO of Uber. Clearly the guy was rough around the edges, but extremely aggressive in terms of growth, which goes a long way. And but I mean, without him, there would be no Uber. I mean, you need someone who's going to be that aggressive and really bet big on ghost kitchens. And so I haven't heard much about it lately, but it's still an interesting concept, if not more so because of COVID.
It's definitely a big thing. Because places just to make food for delivery, and then you can have almost sort of a hub and spoke, just like put it somewhere where there's a lot of people in that area, and don't worry about customers. Because then you have things like Chipotle or something where you're making as much for.
You don't even really have to put it in like a high profile. You just need good transportation. I mean, now through smartphones, whatever, like that connection is pretty good. And anyways, so now we have maybe speak a local story that has its own little spin on ghost. I would say ghosting, but that sounds bad.
No,
Ghost
that's
delivery.
a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Ghost Delivery. Yes, we wrote profile on them the other day. They are going to be presenting at CED's Venture Connect. They also were in a CED program, Grow, that they were calling it. I think GRO.
Yeah.
I know Anil in the Archive Social. How do you say his last name? Chalwa? I'm not good with W's and L's close to each other. But the founder of Archive Social, he mentioned on Twitter that he had sort of mentored them in that program. Was looking forward to see what they're doing.
Well, he's got a great sense. Really, I think he went to the Triangle Star Factory, and I think there's entrepreneurs who realize it's not a hype game and it's about numbers, and they're in it to win it, and in the long term. And I think he definitely takes that approach. So they'll get some great advice for him. Speaking about great advice, we actually have we've been ignoring some of our comments because we can't seem to do two things at once. So I want to first jump around. So here's Jim saying, have we seen these movies? Now
go to the other one about the CED.
Well, why don't we do this? You know what? It's already here. Okay, fine. Well, I'll go in reverse order.
No, do what you want, whatever you want. I
do think, like Edison, you probably know this because you're a man of, did you major in history? I believe you might have.
I was a history major, yes.
You will know everything my parents broadly criticized me for not understanding history because I didn't study history, and then also told me, my mom.
Were you doomed to repeat it?
Huh?
Were you doomed to repeat it?
Well, they would throw that kind of stuff.
You don't understand.
My parents were both history majors. Anyways, I always thought that Edison had his lab, and I forget what it was called, but it was kind of an interesting idea. He had a name for it.
New Jersey.
Yeah, but it had a very unique name that was very different. But the idea of creating interesting things. And so one of the things I hope to do over at 121 East Parish, where we are, is to do some interesting things. But I have not seen these, but it sounds like some great recommendations from Jim.
I have not seen the current war, no.
Okay, well, you got a weekend plan. You better get on it now because your Netflix is going to get cut off if it's on there. So,
right.
I'm saying is a few token little notes from me to the right people. And
I would imagine some young people though didn't realize that Tesla was a person inventor. That the Tesla, the car, is sort of named as an homage.
In fact, one would argue that Edison kind of stole his thunder, and he was the real one that figured it all out. It also is worth noting that Elon Musk is not the founder of Tesla. He is an early investor. Yeah, no, he didn't found it. Yeah, he invested it when it was smaller. He wasn't even really at the beginning. And then clearly he's done a great job promoting it and driving it and making it his own.
Well, Edison had like a lab. So he had all these inventors working for him. And like anything they made was like, hey, I did it. It's like,
and that's what I tell people. When people say, hey, I like what Pete wrote, or like this, I say, I did that.
That's all me.
Yeah. Hey, cool thing, Jan. There we go. So Jan says, think we should sell swag. Yeah, I mean, we talked around that. We might put a little store together, see what we can cobble together, see what we can build the empire.
Or I don't know if we're going to sell the mugs though. You can only win.
There's certain things you can only win. You can't just buy your way into it.
You can't just, right. You can't be,
no,
unless
even with Bitcoin.
There's a price, probably.
Okay, maybe you can buy your way into it, but we're not going to be as obvious about it.
Yeah. Right.
And by the way, it's worth noting that this show, if someone wanted to sponsor something, we would 100% sell ourselves out and we would promote that product, right?
Like this. And they could be on the show too.
And they could be on the show, no problem.
But I think Starbucks actually is they're not a sponsor, and that's not really. That's a reusable cup. I don't purchase Starbucks very often. Well, actually, I do, but
that's another conversation. There'll be maybe at the end we'll do a life lesson in terms of
maybe they don't need
coffee cup strategy. But one of the things that Jim, in terms of advice,
I think is good.
Is we have. I know you've been covering this a little bit more. CD Venture Connect.
You're a former co-chair of.
Oh, I've done it all. And way back when, let me tell you. So way back when. Okay. When sit back and relax, back in the 90s, and this was probably 97, 98, they used to call it
I was like 10.
Software 97, software 98. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you were using like Word 97 back then.
Yeah.
That was totally different than what you use now. Yeah, like I kind of interned and kind of or helped out there while I was like in business school. And then in 2002, one of the first and only really shows that Chaz and I did with Bronto when we were just starting off is we got invited to have a booth or have a table there. So we did that. And that was way back when. I think the conference used to be in the fall. So we were really young then. And we brought I think we had a big Bronto that we brought. And then later on.
What was your experience there? You know, like when you had a table, because there's a lot of decisions that
it's not really geared for customers. Yeah, it's a little bit. I mean, when you're small, you're just making. It's more just a way of saying, "Hey, we're a startup and we're around." We didn't really proactively go seek it out. We just didn't. It's like, but it's not really a customer thing. It's more just a relationship. And then later on, I know I had MC'd. They had these demo rounds. I did that a few times, and then. A few years ago, I was co-chair. And then one of the things I really enjoyed, I've enjoyed all of it, but is led an entrepreneur workshop where I had Matt Winston and Jesse Lipson. Yes. Yeah. And then we would solicit, we all kind of told a little bit of our background, and then everyone just wrote in questions, piece of paper. And then we just like commented freely as a group on these concerns and challenges. And it was, I think, really rewarding. It was also fairly easy to prep. So something like that was really good and I think really helpful. And I think it was part of the Entrepreneur Only Day as well. And we were supposed to last year, you know, as part of GretBeat, host an after party, but then COVID hit, so we kind of wrecked that.
Yeah, I was at an event once where you were on a panel. So it was pretty early on in GretBeat. And someone asked, you know, what's sort of the one thing you learned the hard way or kind of one thing that maybe people don't know, sort of one nugget of wisdom. And you said, learn the importance of firing fast. I didn't fire fast enough. And another guy agreed, like, absolutely. And I'm like, is he trying to send me a message? Like, have I already been here too long? Like, I don't know. Why does he keep talking about firing fast?
I mean, that obviously sounds horrible.
What is your view on that?
So we'll just talk about pieces of advice is the, you know, the meme or whatever is fire fast, hire slow. And I also, another one that I like is contract skills, hire people. The first one I didn't make up. The one I made up. And I think the thing is when you're small and particularly you're bootstrapped or really every business should be watching cash flow very closely. You unfortunately, you really don't have time for it to kind of like work out for something in the fold. You really have to make very quick decisions. And particularly from a cultural point of view, if you have someone who's not a good cultural fit, which could mean a lot of different things, or not working, you're setting the tone for what level you're going to play out early on, and you also just quite practically just don't have the cash to kind of fool around. And so, chances are, when you already know someone's not a fit, it takes a while to come to the conclusion and really pull the trigger. But I think as you get more experience, you can pull the trigger quicker. Because you realize
you're not firing everyone.
No. But also, it's something at the same time. After you do that a few times, sadly, you really become much more careful with hiring because, and you still don't always get it right because you know the consequences of getting it wrong. And so I think hiring slow. It's also fun to hire people. It's fun to have, say, I have a large team, but it becomes very expensive. So it's much better to be lean and mean as a startup founder. So I think that's, to Jim's thing, that's one bit of advice.
What was the contract skills hire?
Yeah, so I think the thing is, like, I always say contract skills, hire people. And that really is a talking to culture. And things are going to change. So you want good dynamic people that you enjoy working with that can help in a lot of different ways and be dynamic, where the specific skills you need are going to change. And so if you can find a way to contract those, that would be better, because when you hire someone,
meaning hire contractors, not full-time employees.
Yeah. I guess it's really comparison to contracting versus full-time employees. So anyways, that's, I think So one, all that hiring stuff, I think that's one tip. Another one I mention often, and I just mentioned yesterday actually, is indigestion is worse than starvation. And so that's a story around.
Oh yeah, that's one of yours.
Yeah. All of this, and just to round it out for Jim, doesn't really give people good advice for Venture Connect.
Explain what that means though.
That means that earlier on, there's too much you could do. And I think the challenge of early stage founder entrepreneur is to kind of figure out what is the most productive thing to do. And there's also a very big difference between being busy and being productive. So it tends to be very easy to be busy, which is activity. It's very hard to be productive, to figure out which things are the things that really, really matter. And when there's a lot of noise out there. And so as an entrepreneur, I think you have to kind of balance those things.
Right. You can't do everything, and you shouldn't try.
You can't do everything, but it seems like when you have nothing, you seem like you should pursue everything because you don't have anything. In reality, that's the problem, is you really need to do few things well versus be all over the place, because that's how you get differentiated, by doing few things well. To Jim's point, I think that I don't see the conference about customers per se. I see the conference more about networking with potential investors, employees. There are a lot of people I've hired, not directly from the conference, but I made the first contact at the conference, and then led to a coffee meeting, which led to something else. So I think I wouldn't try to, for any of these conferences, whether virtual or not, to get it all done right then. You're really just about beginning the conversation and then seeing where it goes over with time. So anyways, we got another comment. We got Christina. Let's see.
Was a favorite? She was agreeing with you about being deliberate and hiring, taking time.
She would see, as you know, she's very much on the recruiting side. And so, she has to work really hard to get these great fits into the company. And she of course wants them to work, and she probably sees situations where that works out well and where it doesn't. And my hunch is, because she's done it and she's very experienced, have also seen, can kind of almost sense like, this hiring company or hiring manager.
If you're employee 5, you're like 20% of the company. Now, hiring employee 500, if you mess up on that, it's not as big a deal.
Yeah, it's also hard when you're employee 5 if it's not working out, because you're like, I just need literally someone to do it. So it's really some hard choices early on. So anyways, that's true. Jim, of course, is jumping in saying, don't confuse activity with achievement. That's kind of a similar thing. It's like, it's very easy to be busy.
Well, you guys used to have them on the wall, right, at Pronto? Wasn't there 7?
Yeah, we had like 10 principles, them out and put them quite big, each one. So
give me another one.
Oh, hits, not home runs, right? So that's a good sports metaphor for you.
That's maybe like 10 years ago. You're not familiar with Moneyball? Now they say home runs, don't worry about hits. This is
pre-Moneyball.
Give me a different one. Okay, because that's not for.
But it's still valuable,
sports.
Right? So it basically speaks to the value of day-to-day execution versus swing for the fences. And particularly with salespeople, they like to do elephant hunting or whale hunting. Like, if we get this one deal, it solves all our problems. But really, it's about creating systems and processes that you're just executing a little bit better, faster and faster every day. So that's kind of one. I think one we had was happy Brontos leads to happy customers. Basically, if we just take care of our people and have a good job, everything else, happy customers and revenue and everything else kind of comes from that. So that
Southwest Airlines, he used to be big on that. Like, our number one focus is our employees and keeping them happy, not their customers, but if their employees are happy, then they're going to be happy.
So I like to think we had a few original thoughts at Bronto, and we didn't.
Well, I'm not saying you stole it. I'm just saying great minds think alike, etc. You honed in on some truisms, some eternal truths.
Okay, yeah, they're just floating out there. Neither. We also had one that spoke to just plain spoken talk versus jargon. That I think a lot of people businesses, particularly technical businesses, can hide behind jargon, but really that's an excuse, and you really need to kind of be quite straightforward and clear with people, and that in a lot of different ways. And so that kind of guided our marketing and approach. So yes. So anyways, all good. We've
almost pretty much knocked out the half hour.
I'd have to look them up. What's that?
We've almost knocked out the half hour with almost no show prep. So maybe that's a lesson.
Well, let's say, why don't you pass on? Let's have a life lesson of sorts. I think everyone likes your life lesson. That way, I can put
Me? Life lesson?
Yes,
Or is it
a
your
life
story
lesson.
time? I don't. You think I just have them sitting around? I don't have them on the wall, sadly.
You're asking me for Bronto principles off the top of my head.
But I knew you had them.
Okay, let me tell you something. A fun. The more you know. All right.
Okay. All right.
So we get those cool. So I think the center of entrepreneurship, despite having a cool product and hitting the market right, all those things are important.
Okay.
But if you're starting from nothing, really what it's about is being very persistent. And it might take you longer and you grit. But one of the things that really captures that, people really talk about Jeff, I can never pronounce his name, Bezos, right? In terms of Amazon and growing it. And people say, oh, he was the right time for this and that. And that's all true. But the end of the day, it's because he had tremendous grit and persistence. And one of the key words there at Amazon, I think they call it
day one. Well, that's okay. Relentless.
And if you go, and I believe this works, if you go to relentless.com, it will go to amazon.com.
Okay.
Here we go. Come on.
Oh.
You know.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even. Oh, that's cool.
I did that.
Where are you going to get the rainbow thing? That's probably copyrighted, trademarked.
Yeah, another thing I'm ripping off, right?
Yeah,
so,
well, on our YouTube page, it's like we can't monetize it because you swipe some song for some. There's a copyright thing. Fortunately, we're not trying to.
Apparently, police, if they're being trolled by someone, one of the things they can do is they can play a copyright song, so the YouTuber's video will be null and void because it'll pick up that song.
Oh, okay.
Another.
That is a life. That's a life lesson. Okay. How many of these do you have? How many other?
Plethora. But that's all I have for today because we're ahead of our time. And
I don't mean how many life lessons. I mean how many of these things that crawl across the screen.
Oh, I've just
had more, life lesson. Like, why can't I use them?
You can't. You just don't.
I don't know where they are. I guess you make them up. I can make my own up.
Hey, let's.
All right, that's it.
Wrap us up.
Yes, let's wrap it up.
All right, here we go. Until next week.
That's right. Okay, bye everyone.